dari potensi integrasi ini. Makanya AI16Z, ya Andreessen Horowitz, dia juga membuat ya yang khusus di kripto. Ada juga ya Multicoin Capital, ya salah satu early investor di berbagai project-project yang sekarang udah settle. Mereka invest banyak di 2021 yang sekarang udah menjadi layer 1 yang hebat ya, Multicoin. Dia mengungkapkan ya atau dia memiliki visi yang namanya thesis driven ya. Thesis driven itu apa sih? Thesis driven itu suatu analisa yang mana ya, saya ngomong mirip ya dengan analisa naratif ya. Jadi thesis driven itu adalah analisa sesuai dengan naratif tertentu ya. Kalau misalkan ya dunia lagi demand-nya tokenisasi sesuai dengan thesis driven, ya dia investnya ke RWA ya. Kalau misalkan ya thesis driven dia lagi ke gaming industry ya, dia investnya akan ke GameFi. Jadi thesis driven, nah ini seperti namanya tesis ya. Tesis itu adalah suatu idea ya, suatu konsep. Dia akan berinvestasi ke sesuatu yang memang sesuatunya ini memiliki real use case ya. Dan terakhir ada framework ventures ya. Banyaknya investasinya dia di berbagai project DeFi ya atau di project decentralized finance. Nah, gimana cara smart money ini melakukan analisa? Pertama, saya bilang ini adalah project yang ada di tahap awal. Saya kan bilang tadi ada 3 tahap. Pertama, tahap early, 2 intermediate, dan ketiga tahap yang late. Nah, ketika project itu ada di early stage, apa sih ya yang bisa kalian lihat? Tokennya belum ada, produknya belum jadi, ya networknya belum berfungsi dengan benar. Kalau early stage, ya itu yang dilihat itu adalah visi. Yang dilihat adalah people. Sama nih, seperti orang nge-pitching proposal. Bikin proposal, ya ada kertas, white paper, terus dia cari investor. Ya produknya aja nggak ada, ya sama aja warungnya ini belum ada, restorannya ini belum ada. Yang dilihat apa? Yaitu orang yang bawa proposal siapa. Doi siapa sih? Oh, ternyata
As you guys know, I make good money from the market. I'm like a bad.
Ini gue lagi ada di Jalan Prambanan. Jadi kalau misalnya kalian ke Candi Prambanan, ke Jogja.
Selamat siang.
Sorry, saham apa?
Indo.
Indo
Saham
berapa?
Indo. Iya, itu.
308. Lu di titik yang Bitcoin percaya. Lu di titik yang Bitcoin percaya atau tidak?
Percaya.
Lu di titik yang Bitcoin percaya atau tidak?
Percaya, tapi gue nggak berani all in.
Video hari ini Bitcoin 118.700.
Contoh pasal 64 ayat 1 KPN dan Undang-Undang Nomor 48 Tahun 2009 tentang kekuasaan kehakiman.
All the positions live right now.
Vendor misalnya bikin
udonが3つ。
Kalau semuanya
Apa yang lu
kalau semuanya di sini itu
Nothing changes and nothing changes, man.
Nothing changes and nothing changes, man. In order for something to change, there needs to be change.
Lu 6
Petualangan Luke here.
Tom here with the After Tom YouTube channel, and for the next 2 days we're going to be hiking, fishing, camping.
Luke and Tom here at the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel, and we're on an uninhabited island in the middle of Alaska, and we're hiking through the rainforest and up the mountains looking for an abandoned World War II military base. We'll be camping and having an amazing adventure. There's porpoises. Down here. We're gonna have to hop on the rocks here. Okay, you ready? Go for it. Whoa. See you tomorrow. There's a whole bunch of rails right here. There's some pipe. There's some beams back in there. Look at this.
That's a Jeep trail.
There's a trail. Is it the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
Yes!
This used to be a Jeep trail. See how there's no big trees in the middle? And you can see where they kind of dynamited over here. Each time we come to a fork in the road, we're putting sticks down to mark which way we're going and which way we're not going. So I am really curious where this road goes. What? Oh, I think I just saw a grouse. I'm okay. Yeah, it was a little bit of a booby trap there. We're going down an awful lot. Oh, check it out, Tom. Yeah. Someone or something's been here. Will you grab the bear mace out of my bag? Just in case. All right, just in case. I have no clue whether there's any bears on this island.
Leave now. Looks like the police.
What, did you find something?
Yeah.
Here, Tom, go for it. I want to film you getting eaten.
What?
I mean, I want to film you going inside.
Mine. You can see where they drilled in and blasted away.
You can see where they drilled in, right there. Yeah, I bet they use this to store stuff. Oh.
I need you to scout this.
There you go, got my saw. The saw does really good as a machete. Check it out. Molds turn the little sticks blue. Everything is covered in moss here. This is a temperate rainforest. And when we have really cold winters, this place gets a ton of snow. Yeah, this doesn't look too bad. You want to fill up our water bottles?
Expand around.
Hold on, wait. Look at this, Tommy.
The rails are literally right there.
There's the dock, and there's the rails. We literally bushwhacked our way all the way up that hill, and there was a road right there. What's got 4 thumbs and does things the hard way? Us. Here, kick off your backpack. Let's go check the water out.
Mulai dengan solusi Google Cloud lalu akses langsung ke kredit gratis untuk seluruh penggunaan produk. Sebagai pengguna baru, Anda akan dapat
Stuff's edible.
Try to get it though.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, it's a piece of bull kelp.
Tasty? What's it taste like?
Chewy. Now, the military base that was on this island was called Fort Bulkley, and I've found very little information about Fort Bulkley. What little I did find said that it would be on that peak over there across the bay. But that's not the case. There's nothing over there. Oh, look, there's a seal right over there, Tom. He's right there. He's kind of swimming towards us. Yeah, it does look like a harbor seal. Look at these. Hey, Tom. Oh, there's like some sort of clear jello inside.
Here, watch this.
Oh, that right in my eye. Ah. The little ones taste good, but the big bumpy ones are good for squirting.
Oh, like you can see it.
Alrighty, should we go try this path? We're up in the clouds now. Oh look, and this is the other side of the island. But it is so steep over on this part. Oh my goodness, look at this. There's stellar sea lions down there. Yeah, that is insane. I think I could throw a rock from the top of this island all the way into the ocean. That is a reason why they call it Rugged Island. We went up the nice part. I'm not really sure where the fort is on this island, but the ocean's there, and we run out of island that way. So it must be that way. Look at these salmonberry bushes. Come back here in a month or two and this place would be crawling with big juicy salmonberries. I'm not sure how long it's been since people were on this trail, but I've seen no footprints, no broken branches, no signs of life. Luckily, it's pretty hard to get lost. I can see the boundaries of the old road pretty clearly. Oh, look at this, Tom. I see a structure. Yeah, there's a concrete bunker right over there. Hey, Tom, you got your flashlight? Yeah. All right. All right. Okay. Oh, I got a little table.
Really should have brought the other one.
This is just like a little office or a place they'd store ammo or something. Woo. It's like a little candy bar. You want it?
Yeah, sure.
I've got one of these melon Kit Kats. Well, you want to go see if we can find more?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. There's some pipes that go up into the woods up there. There's got to be something up there. Check out, these are wood pipes from the World War II era. They make them like you do a wood barrel, and then they wrap them in metal wire.
There's some sort.
Well, it looks real flat, doesn't it?
That looks like a...
This is the foundation. I've seen a number of pipes that go up the hill. So there's some man-made structures up there. I'm just not quite sure where it is. Little concrete box of some type here.
Well, I didn't know this was in here.
Yeah, there's some railroad ties. Some more random military ruins in the woods. Oh, look at this, Tom. Look at this. There's a rope up here, Tom. Here, I'll drop my back. Got this? Check it out. There's a bunker right here. That was a big jump, Tom. Yeah, this is a chimney. Hey, look at this.
Yep, that's a pair of military boots.
Look at that, they're steel-toed. Oh, check it out. This is the Coast Guard beacon. Oh, there's a ladder. Yeah, I'll go first.
Yeah, it is, sorry.
Check this out.
No way! No way! It's beautiful!
Isn't that pretty?
Oh dang, there's like a...
What a fabulous spot for an observation post.
The concrete for that is gone.
Oh, that's just hanging out over the cliff.
Dang. Taking it slowly.
Right.
I wonder what other stuff we want. I did not realize that. Higher up though.
Some sort of tin structure.
Well, the trail keeps on going.
Oh, look at this. This is an old military cot. Yeah, this is the piece to a military bed. Oh, it's so hard to see anything in these woods. We could be walking past dozens of these buildings and not even know it.
Trail has pottery right there.
Oh, you know what this is? This is a wash tub.
Oh, what is this?
Yeah, it's a bowl.
I think that's where they did their dishes.
Yeah, it could have been. Could have been where they did their dishes. Look at that.
No, maybe this might be looking.
Yeah, there's a whole building. You can see almost all of these trees have grown since the base was here. We found some cool stuff, Tom, but we haven't found the artillery placement. The whole point of these military bases was to put an artillery piece on top of these islands and shoot enemy ships that were trying to enter the bay. Check it out, there's all these, look at all these wires.
Well, they moved them out.
So there must be something up there if we follow the wires.
This road off to the roof. Cool.
There's a lot of wood here, rotten wood. I think we're standing on the collapsed roof of a wooden structure. And that concrete is the foundation. And this right here, this is the roof, what's left of the roof.
The foundation of something.
Oh, careful, this is deep. Oh.
Oh, you fell it. Yes.
All right.
I trust.
Look at this, Tom. This is an insulator for power lines. Okay, so there's power cables that are going further up the hill. There's more up there. Got a little M&M break. Dad tax. Oh, look at this, Tom. That's a tread to like a bulldozer or a tank right there. Look, there's a big open flat spot. There isn't a single flat spot on this island that isn't man-made. Oh, look at that. This is it. I think we found it. Yay. Here, grab my flashlight. Oh, look at this, Tom. That is pretty cool, isn't it? Look at this. It's like the latches to the door. Thomas, you ready to go explore?
Yes.
Let's go inside. See, USED 1943. So that's 2 years before the end of World War II. All right. You got your light?
I got it.
All right, let's go inside.
Oh,
Watch out. Oh, there's booby traps here. Yeah, here's another. There's like 2 dead foxes down here. Yeah, I wonder if they just fell down there and got trapped.
What do you think that is? Ah, my light. I have to hold my light down. Okay, it could be even our.
Oh, here's the big room. Yeah, there's another door in here. Dang, this place is big. Don't fall down there.
There's a basement.
Oh, look at that. Oh, there's stairs.
This
This place is getting cool.
For a second, I thought it was something little.
I think these are sheets of like asbestos. It's a kind of a fireproof insulation, but it's toxic, gives you cancer.
What?
There's like a big engine room, and there's tons of stuff in there. Look at this. This is like a giant drafting table or something. This isn't good. That looks structural right there.
Big.
Was that pretty cool?
Yes.
Was that worth the hike?
Yes.
Yeah, you know what that is, Tommy? That looks like a cesspit.
That bus is through.
Now, all Propellerats users can advertise in Telegram mini apps. It's a new ad format that seamlessly fits Telegram's look and feel. And here's what it looks like. How will the user see your ad? While a user interacts with a mini app, an ad appears natively, say when a user runs out of lives in the game, and a user clicks on the ad, and it's then taken to your landing page, your Telegram mini app or channel. So why is Telegram traffic the new holy grail for advertisers? It is a new source of traffic, so the competition is still very low.
Hey, alongside Isabel Lee, we are joined by Bloomberg's Red Brown. So thanks for coming in now. We want to talk about Deckers, right? That's the first one you want to talk about? I love those Hoka shoes.
Yeah, and so apparently a lot of people do. You walk around New York City in certain neighborhoods, you'll see them everywhere. So yes, Deckers Outdoor. The ticker on that one is DECK. They jumped as much as 21% this morning, now trading around 12%. That's still good enough for the top performing stock in the S&P 500 at the moment. And it caught my attention not just because of how well it's doing today, just because it's kind of a rare positive day for the company. Heading into today's session was down nearly 50%. That was good for second worst in the S&P 500. So actually having a bit of momentum this morning after the company reported really steady popularity of UGG and the Hoka shoes as well. Both of those brands grew around 20% last quarter. So yeah, quite a positive report from the company. And I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens with shares for the rest of the year now that they are starting to post some still strong results despite some of those tariff worries that we had some earlier this year.
What about Centene? It seems like health insurers are really facing their toughest stretch in years.
Yes, that's absolutely been one of the biggest stories, I think, in the market this year. And then shares for this company, ticker CNC, went on a bit of a wild ride this morning. They fell 12% once the company reported, but actually recovered 7% to trade up. And now around 2.5% at the moment. They are the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 this year, despite the positive move this year. And that's kind of to Isabel's point there. It's just the health insurers have been really struggling with some of the government cutbacks, changes to reimbursement programs, things like that. So the company actually cut its, withdrew its guidance today, and also slashed its earnings per share view by, I don't think I've ever seen an earnings per share cut like this before. They were seeing 7.25 per share early this year, now seeing 1.75 cents per share, or excuse me, $1.75 per share this year. So yeah, still struggling, but the company started to lay out some plans on how they expect to return to growth, maybe some price changes coming in the future. And I think that's probably explaining a bit of the positivity at the moment. But yeah, otherwise, still pretty significant worries about the outlook for the health insurers in general. So, but yeah, interesting move today for sure.
And then on the downside, we have Intel. I mean, their shares went down 9.5%. It's kind of on how the CEO took this different kind of tone.
Yes, exactly. Yes, shares for Intel, INTC is the ticker for Intel. Are trading down exactly for that reason. Analysts and investors are looking, or I think we're more looking for insights into how this company is going to get back into being, a top technological leader, while the CEO is more focused, at least at the moment for the time being, is more focused on cost cuts. So I think it's interesting when we kind of put that in contrast to some of
his pressure on Powell to lower interest rates. Take a listen.
It looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed. You're including the Martin renovation. You just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago.
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates, but other than that, what can I tell you?
That was just a portion of it. So we want to bring in, for a reaction to this, maybe the play-by-play, Michael McKee, Bloomberg International Economics and Policy Correspondent. So Michael, you saw some tension there, but then you had President Trump saying, you know what, we're not going to fire him. But then he kept saying he's going to do the right thing. Like he kept saying that. It's kind of this mixed message. What was your take on
Like
the
handing the old Japanese, soldier.
Really vigorously nodding his head, no, that's not the budget. I've never heard of that.
Well, it's interesting because the White House staff and Russ Vought from the CBO, Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina who runs a banking committee, they had made an appointment with the Fed to come over and take a look at the building. And the president decided at the last minute to come, and they hadn't, until the last minute, notified the Fed that he was going to be there. So clearly there was an element of squirrel in there and an effort to distract. It probably doesn't mean anything in the long run. It's certainly not going to impress the Fed or scare Jay Powell. They're just going to do what they always do and do whatever there is for the economy. The kind of question is, does this help the president in any way? And certainly not with getting interest rates down. And I don't think the market buys any of that either.
Now, Mike, there's this article in the Terminal. It says how President Trump is using a, quote, flood the zone strategy. So what exactly is that?
Basically, it was a term that Steve Bannon came up with in the first Trump administration, suggesting that when you have an issue that you want to drive through, you bring it up in so many places, in so many different ways, that people can't respond, especially if you're doing like the administration and not telling the truth about things. You just put out these stories that aren't true on a regular basis, and you have a lot of people doing it. The opponents can't keep up. They can't knock down every lie. I mean, we all know that somebody goes on TV and says something that's completely wrong, more people are going to see that than the rebuttal. And that's the problem for opponents of Donald Trump, is that they do this flood the zone strategy, and they've done it with a lot of different issues.
Given Trump's characterization of too late Powell, quote, how do you think investors should interpret any messaging from the Fed? Or do you think that, no, they're still going to really maintain their independence? And Fed Chair Powell seems like he's really not affected.
Powell's not affected. He's probably annoyed, as you saw when he was talking about the fact that Trump was adding in an old building to that list. But the Fed itself is going to ignore the president's comments and try to stay as on track as possible. I don't think that the markets are going to look to the Fed to cut rates, except in the future. So what we'll be looking at this coming week, is what the Fed says about the future. Do they set us up for a September rate cut, saying something like, if the economy develops as we anticipate, with inflation remaining relatively contained, it's up, but only a little bit so far, and unemployment stable, then we could look to adjust rates in the future. That would give people a sign that maybe they're thinking about September. Now, then it becomes data dependent. We get 2 more CPI reports, 2 more PCE reports. We get another 2 job reports before the Fed meets. So the Fed can have its cake and eat it too, because they can always get back before their meeting and say, well, look, inflation went up a lot once the tariffs finally kicked in and unemployment started to rise. So we'll see what happens. I don't think we get much more than that on Wednesday, though.
We do. All right. Michael McKee, always a pleasure having you here in the studio. It's Michael McKee, Bloomberg International Economics and Policy Correspondent. All right. What do you say? Let's reset the table here. Let's go back and check in with those markets. Let's go to Charlie Pellet with your Bloomberg Business Flash.
Hi. Thank you very much, Lisa. Right now we have
tough to make sense of it all. And we have now Nadia Lovell. She is Senior U.S. Equity Strategist at Global Wealth Management at UBS. She will help us make sense of the week. So Nadia, thank you so much for joining us. So we are in this week now. It's been really hectic. And next week, we have more than 30% of earnings coming in. We have jobs report. We have all of these at a time that market watchers are worried.
Look, I would say that we don't think that U.S. equities are in a bubble. I mean, when you look at the ongoing earnings season that is coming in so far, still early, but coming in better than expected, it speaks to the strong fundamentals of U.S. companies. Yes, there are some pockets of the markets that are showing signs of speculation. As you alluded to, we're seeing, some short squeeze on those highly shorted stocks, as well as those unprofitable stocks, similar to what we saw in 2020 and 2021. Maybe, but nowhere near that. So I think it goes back to the fundamentals. You also have a market that is, brushing off much of the tariff uncertainty. And that's probably because the news flow so far has been quite encouraging, with a deal in principle with Japan, Philippines, and Indonesia, and also whispers of a potential deal ahead of August 1st deadline with the EU. We'll see what the heavy tech companies report next week, but heading into earnings from them, we also feel good about that. So we think that, again, this is fundamentals and not bubbles at the broader market level.
Yeah. So Nadia, what's it going to take to keep the rally going? I mean, is it just corporate earnings, or what would it take?
I think it has to be fundamentals. Of course, coming into the earnings season, where you are expected companies to be by about 400 to 500 basis points on EPS on the consensus numbers. So far, what you're seeing is a couple percentage points higher than that. And yes, as I noted earlier, it's still early. We've only had a third of S&P companies reported, and we'll see what tech reports next week. So if you have companies continuing to deliver and the guidance outlooks look good, that could cause these markets to grind high. You also have a low vol environment, so you have support from systematic buyers that are continuing to push this market higher. What could upset this market is that if we don't have, meaningful trade agreements on August 1st, and we have an escalation again in trade tensions, particularly around the EU, where the president has threatened anywhere from 30 to 50% tariff increase. If we see contentions around that, then you could see this market start to wobble again.
You advise adding equity exposure on dips, but with AI really driving much of the rally, are we not close to a risk of overconcentration in just a few mega cap names?
We don't think so. I mean, when we look at historically, the things that drive markets, it's really transformational innovation opportunities. And AI is definitely at the forefront of that. When you think about it, we expect that this to be a $2.6 trillion revenue opportunity by the end of this decade. And even when you look at the current environment, I mean, we were expecting AI CapEx to come in at about $360 billion, a 60% increase year over year for 2025. And even now, we would argue that those numbers might be too conservative, given the fact that we've seen Alphabet, who reported this week, already lifted their CapEx expectation by 12% up to $85 billion for this year. And then you have an administration, Isabel, that is quite supportive of innovation in AI. You have the President AI Action Plan this week that suggests that there is going to be a loosening of restriction around AI software and AI hardware exports. And so we think that not only from an investment standpoint, but from a regulatory standpoint, that the tailwind is within AI. And then we think that monetization will start to pick up as we get into 2026. So still feeling good about that, and we'd be buyers of dips on these secular trends.
Hey, Nadia, so the Fed makes their decision next week on interest rates. So I'm curious to find out what you're expecting from them to say.
Yes, like Mike Mickey was talking about, we think that the Fed will be on hold next week. There's quite dispersion on the committee. That's seen in the rhetoric, and there's all sorts of dots. You still have, the medium dot at 2 cuts for this year, but you do have, 7 of the 19 dots at no cut and 2 at 1 cut. You could see some dissent next week. Waller and Bowman has been, lobbying for a July cut, but the data doesn't support it. And so we do think that by the time you get to September, you could see the data start to support weakness in the labor market. And we think that the Fed will resume in September. But again, job market so far seems to be holding in there. Even the president yesterday highlighted how strong the economy is. So if the economy remains resilient, we could see the Fed delay that cut even further beyond September.
And if you expect a tariff-led slowdown but not a recession, how do you justify staying overweight in cyclical sectors like maybe financial?
When you think about it, financial, there are some trends happening in financials. It's not just about sort of the cyclical aspect. There's also the deregulation aspect that's happening. And in fact, we're coming into this earnings season positive on financials. And in the mix of this earnings season, our conviction has increased. I mean, without offering a single stock view, even yesterday, you heard Blackstone say about capital markets activity and looking at their data that the pipeline for IPOs, potential IPOs, is the strongest that they have seen since 2021. So as we get policy clarity on tariff and as well as monetary policy, we could see an acceleration in IPOs and M&A. There's quite a bit of pent-up demand. And then Michelle Bowman, vice chair of bank supervision, she is moving swiftly and with purpose. I mean, we are hearing that she expects to have a reproposal of Basel III Endgame by the end of the year. So all of this could lead to more capital relief for banks and therefore capital returns. And so we think that the tailwinds are with financials, assuming that we don't get any sort of recession, which we're not expecting.
All right, Nadia Leva, always love getting your insight in this. She is Senior U.S. Equity Strategist for Global Wealth Management at UBS. All right, so earnings after 2 quarters losses in a row. We had Phillips 66 reported a beat on second quarter adjusted EPS. We want to dig deeper into these details. So who better to do that? Let's bring in Brett Gibbs. He's Bloomberg Intelligence refining and renewable fuels analyst. Brett, thank you for joining us here from DC. Refining has been this noticeable laggard. I mean, was it in these results?
Yeah, thanks for having me first off. And I think it's been a noticeable laggard for Phillips 66 specifically. And this was a clear quarter of strength for them. One of the things, too, that stood out to us was just their refining utilization up about, kind of 98%. And then their capture of what we in the industry look at for benchmark margins for what you can see on your screen for gasoline and diesel prices was 98%. So this was very, very strong. And similarly, on the unit cost side, part because they ran so well, they fell below their operating cost target for, the first time. They were under that $5.50 a gallon of what they use as adjustable controllable costs. And so that led to the beat broadly. And now we're kind of looking to see if that strength persists here in 3Q. Again, there's still a lot of work to be done on the refining side relative to where management set out kind of their mid-cycle expectations of $5 billion of annualized EBITDA. But again, this is a great start.
How sustainable are these performance tailwinds moving forward? You said you're going to look out in the next quarters. I'm wondering if they are structural, one-off, or cyclical.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, refining itself is a cyclical industry, and typically 2Q and 3Q are the seasonal strengths. Just you have driving season here in the US. So that was something that obviously was a tailwind in 2Q. We also have a developing diesel story globally that has been a little bit of a strength. We've seen it start with the Iran-related disputes. We also see some European sanctions on Russian oil products and oil broadly, and that's tightened up the diesel side that had led to a pretty strong export pull out of the Gulf Coast. We saw that in Phillips 66's results this morning. The Gulf Coast was a particular region of strength. I think there is some durability there, but again, Elliott was calling for a big breakup of the company. They were focusing on spinning out midstream. They were focusing on potentially selling their stake in CP Chem. Chemical earnings were particularly weak in this cycle, this earnings cycle. And this is something, too, that management has come out, quite frankly, and said, we don't know if in this chemical margin environment it would be the right time to sell. They also have 2 large projects slated to come online in 2027. And so I think this does kind of affirm some of the points that management was trying to push. But again, there's a lot of work to be done. I think management got themselves cornered a little bit year ago or in the past where they had all of these series of targets that became very difficult, whether it was hitting a certain leverage target, whether it was continuing to advance midstream growth, whether it was getting refining to these levels. So they still certainly have their work cut out for them. But I think this is progress is being made, and that's, kind of a supporting factor to what shareholders voted for in May.
All right. Brett Gibbs, always appreciate your time. He's Bloomberg Intelligence Refining and Renewable Fuels Analyst. All right. Coming up here on Bloomberg Intelligence, we have got a treat for you. It is the Dan Ives. Yes, you heard that right. Global Head of Technology Research at Wedbush Securities. He's going to talk about tech earnings. We had a lot this week. We've got a lot more coming up next week from the likes of some big names. I mean, we're talking about Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Apple, all that coming up on a day where stocks are pretty much on the rise right now. NASDAQ up 0.2%. We have the Dow up about 0.1%. S&P 500 up about 0.2%. You're listening to Bloomberg Intelligence. Good morning.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
It's 10:40 on Wall Street. We do check markets all day long here at Bloomberg. We have got U.S. stocks continuing to advance with the Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ all moving higher. S&P right now up 14. That is a gain of 0.2%, 63.77 where we stand right now. Yes, looking at a record on the S&P 500. The Dow up 92, now up 0.2%. NASDAQ up 38. For NASDAQ, that is a gain also of 0.2%. The Mag 7 index up by about 0.5%. Tesla shares gaining 2.3% after yesterday's 8% rout. Right now, we have got the 10-year yielding 4.41% with the 2-year 3.92%. Gold tumbling 1%, 33.34 the ounce, and West Texas Intermediate crude down 0.6%, 65.62 for a barrel of WTI. As for the overall market backdrop, Alicia Levine is head of investment strategy and equities at BNY Mellon Wealth Management. She was a guest this morning on Surveillance.
I think there are some parallels
to the late 90s to what's happening here, in the sense that we feel like we have a technological revolution on our hands, and it's investable. It's investable.
Alicia Levine of BNY Mellon. Meta Platforms says it will stop selling political and issue-focused ads in the European Union, citing new regulations that the company believes, quote, creates an untenable level of complexity and legal uncertainty. Meta, the parent of Facebook and Instagram. Meta Platform shares today, they're trading higher by 0.2%. Again, recapping, S&P up 15, now up by about 0.2%. And for all
씨발 내 돈인데 왜 니들이 아까워하냐고. 형님 또 어째?
Gimana? Mana enak bang sama orang lain. Sama abang.
If you clicked on this video, well then chances are
that still cost me like 20 times.
It's going to be beats across the board. I mean, we're seeing significant activity well above expectations. Because really what's happening is that you're seeing AI drive cloud, not just upgrades, really strategic overhauls. That's bullish for AWS. It's bullish, as we saw, for Google Cloud. And I think front and center is going to be Azure. But you're seeing it's spreading across the rest of tech, second, third, fourth derivatives. Look at Oracle. Look at IBM. So it's my view, we're still in the, and we talk about it, that AI party was 9 p.m. It's now 10 p.m. Party goes to 4 a.m.
With signs of EV demand softening in the US, and I want to bring this back to Tesla because you were on TV yesterday and you said that you doubled down that Musk is still the biggest asset for Tesla. But with key markets like Germany and China really seeing demand softening, do you still think that Tesla can meet its multi-year target delivery without fundamentally shifting its strategy or its price target?
Look, it's a great question. I view Tesla
rattled by DeepSeek early this year.
Look, take a step back, I mean, for the first time in 30 years, the U.S. is ahead of China when it comes to tech because of AI, right? And it's really, there's one chip fueling the AI revolution. And of course, that's the godfather of AI, Jensen, NVIDIA. That competition is going to continue to be there. It's an arms race. But that's also why, in terms of the Trump initiative, in terms of AI, they recognize now is the time. China competition is going to increase. And you talk about EVs, BYD, NIO, we spend a lot of time in Asia. That competitive issues, it's pressure for Tesla. But On the other hand, I believe like they're going to start to now see steadying of demand. And the most important thing continues to be autonomous. I mean, I think 90% of the value, future value, is going to be autonomous robotics. We believe autonomous alone is worth $1 trillion to the Tesla story.
All right, so let's touch on Apple for a bit. iPhone sales, China demand, strengthen, weakening. How do you see it?
Look, I think the actual quarter is probably better than expectations given our checks, in terms of what we see just in terms of iPhone demand. But as we know, like the elephant in the room continues to be, it feels like, they're on a park bench eating an apple, drinking lemonade, while everyone passes by in the AI revolution, big tech. It's time, this DNA needs to change, right? And I think it's time that Apple's they need to aggressively ramp, whether it's the Google partnership or we talk about the Perplexity acquisition. You cannot have the best install base, the biggest consumer install base, and miss out on AI. And it's always next year, next year. WWDC this year, it felt like Back to the Future, right? Going back 2016.
And back to Microsoft, you said that with such aggressive adoption forecasts, around 70% of the install base by 2026, what are the risks that enterprise deployment timelines slip or fail, as fast as expected?
Yeah, I mean, there's always risk, but we've talked about it. It's accelerating. And that's why I think how Nadella and Microsoft, I mean, they're playing chess while others are playing checkers. Because not just in terms of what they're doing in AI, in terms of the overall stack with Azure,